this team, as my keys fall out of my pocket,
I thought it was a cash register that just went off. I thought it was a sound effect.
Has been just on fire, right?
Correct.
Remember, we all know the story of the bye week when the offensive linemen go to Nick Sirianni and they changed the direction of the offense. And since then, the Eagles never really looked back. There were a couple of games in which Jalen did have to throw the football, like the Pittsburgh Steelers and like the NFC Championship game. Doesn't matter how they need to win it or how they think they need to win it. They're winning football games when Jalen Hurts is on the field from beginning to end. Adam Schefter was on with us yesterday. Mentioned it again. 13 straight wins for the Birds when Hurts starts a game and finishes a game.
Okay.
That's fantastic. They're very, very talented. Now, how much does talent matter in a matchup like this against the Kansas City Chiefs, who aren't as talented, right? The Eagles are far more talented than the Kansas City Chiefs.
Are you being a little too chesty there? I am.
No, I don't think so.
See, I wouldn't go as far as to say far. I would say they are absolutely, there's no question to me, they are the better roster.
Yes.
But the far better.
I'll go far.
Okay, the reason the far better won't come out of my mouth is because of the fact that you have to take into account accomplishment.
Well, again, I'm saying strictly talent.
Okay.
But the talent versus pedigree conversation is one we'll have today.
It is. That's where we're going to get into it.
They have the pedigree, right? So let's face it. We talked about this line multiple times already this week. The Chiefs open up as 1.5-point favorites. I believe the Eagles should have probably been 1.5-point favorites, but you give that 2-3-point swing in favor of a team that's a dynasty, a team that's looking for their third straight Super Bowl, a team that has the greatest quarterback arguably in the history of the NFL, a team that may have the greatest head coach and offensive mind in the history of the NFL, and that's why there's that 2 or 3 point swing in favor of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Everyone keeps accounting when I hear about it that the swing is for Patrick Mahomes. I disagree a little bit. It's Patrick Mahomes, but it's also Andy Reid.
Absolutely.
And I'm not sure that Andy Reid isn't actually the bigger swing.
Could be. Hell, you got even had Steve Spagnuolo. I mean,
well,
how he dials up timely plays because his defenses get scored on, but then that fourth quarter. I mean, you saw what they did to Josh Allen.
Unbelievable.
I mean, also
well,
Josh Allen's uncomfortable.
I think they played into their hands though by abandoning the run in the second half.
I think that's true too.
Letting Josh Allen they do the same stuff all the time. They let Bigfoot just do his thing, and it's almost like we're going to prove that Josh Allen's ready to go win a Super Bowl.
Right.
Instead of just running the ball, that's where Nick Sirianni is a smarter coach than Philly's own Sean McDermott.
Right. Fair. Yeah, totally fair. So when you hear talent, does it matter to you that the Eagles are considered the more talented team, or are you more focused on the success of the Chiefs and their pedigree and their culture? That's our question that we'll start the show with at 610-632-0975. Like, what matters more to you, talent or success and pedigree? So, John, I'll ask you, if you were to, I'm not saying make the pick, because I know where you're leaning when it comes to this game, and I agree with you, but if I were to say, hey, what do you care more about, talent or overall pedigree, what would you lean toward?
Talent. Because I do believe that great teams lose all the time. And especially in one-game situations.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Great teams lose all the time. But I actually like, especially when I've been studying for next week, a lot of common opponent stuff. I think the Eagles go into that game head held high and say, they can absolutely say when they played common opponents, they overall played them better and distinctly better than the Chiefs did. And for many of the opponents, they played them on the road.
For whatever reason.
So they went on the road and dominated the teams that the Chiefs struggled to beat at home.
Right. For whatever reason, one of their common opponents that somehow almost beat both of them was the Panthers.
Yep.
Which is the weirdest thing, right? The Panthers played really well against Kansas City, played really well against Philadelphia.
They did.
And these two teams are in the Super Bowl, and the Panthers, they stink. Connor, I'll ask you.
Yeah.
When you hear that the Eagles are considered the more talented team, and if we put homerism aside and we just broke it down, area by area, obviously Patrick Mahomes gets the edge, more than an edge against Jalen Hurts, respectfully to Jalen Hurts. Patrick Mahomes is just that guy. If you find out that the Eagles are considered the more talented team, but you know the team that they're facing, it's the team that's won 2 straight Super Bowls looking for the three-peat. It's the team that is a dynasty, an active dynasty, and still one loss this year, which is amazing despite how ugly it was at times for them. Just one loss. Does it matter to you that the Eagles are considered the more talented team?
I mean, it definitely matters, but it doesn't. It more evens the playing field, right? You have to be the more talented team when you take on Kansas City, because if you're even with them, they have the edge because they've done it before. Like, there's no way to create that separation to the point where you can beat them in the Super Bowl unless you have the clearly more talented roster. The Eagles do. But this game isn't played on paper. It's played on hopefully a good field surface. It's
will
played
be
in front of officials that hopefully make the right calls. It's played against the quarterback that hopefully doesn't get the ball down a score in the fourth quarter. Like, there are so many things that the Chiefs just do so well. You have to make it so clear that you are the better team and also show that on February 9th, not just leading up to it, for you to have a chance to win this game.
So I want people to answer that question for us to start the show today at 610-632-0975. Does it matter to you that the Eagles are considered the more talented team, or are you more focused on what the Chiefs have been able to accomplish? And it's Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.